My name is Pinky Ghelani. I am a UNHCR high-level influencer. I'm a NetCells Kenya brand ambassador, and I create content for social media. I guess I can still call myself a media personality. My family is made up of my husband, Raj Semi, and my two children, Ariana, who's 7, that's my daughter, and Aryan, who's 3, and that's my son. Now, this is a very interesting question. It's not been a straight road. It's been a long and windy uphill struggle. I thought it was my birthright as a woman to be able to have children, and I was in for a rude shock when I first got pregnant, and I went for my 8-week scan, and the doctor said to me it's non-viable. And I looked at him, and you know, he was very blasé about it, because I guess they see this a lot, and I didn't understand. I tried to get him to explain to me, what do you mean? And he said, no, there's no heartbeat, which means there's no pregnancy, which means you need to remove this dead fetus in your from your body. And I still couldn't understand, you know. Of course, I hated him. I was angry at him, and I was like, no, but I have had a pregnancy test. I peed on a stick, and I'm pregnant. Who are you to tell me that my pregnancy is non-viable? I remember those words, horrible words. Anyway, in the meantime, when I went outside the hospital and I had a mini breakdown, he was typing up my letter to my gynecologist, and my husband was with me, and he was calling my mom and my mother-in-law to say, look, this is what's happened. And you know, again, we went back in to see the radiologist, and he gave us the letter that said pregnancy non-viable. You can still see those letters all, you know, strung together. And we went to see my gynecologist, and she said, I'm really sorry. And I was like, no. But does this mean that there will be a heartbeat? And she says, well, a heartbeat normally shows up at 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and we should have been able to detect it by now. So this is not going to work. And, you know, she could see maybe that I was completely devastated, and she said, all right, you know what I'll do? I'll give you another 2 weeks. Let's see if this pregnancy happens, or let's see if the heartbeat comes. Maybe she was just trying to console me and make me come to terms with this. And in those 2 weeks, I remember praying, talking to my baby, and feeling less and less pregnant, because now the symptoms were disappearing, because I think my body was getting ready to miscarry naturally, which means I wasn't feeling so sick. I wasn't having as many cravings. I wasn't as sleepy as I was up in, you know, those first 8 weeks. And then on the 10th week, when I went back for a scan, the sac had not grown, so there was no growth. I think the baby had just died at around 7.5 weeks, and that's where it was. It was still at that size. And, you know, I think by that time I'd accepted that maybe this was not going to work out. So I had a DNC, which was very emotional for me. Only because maybe I hadn't been able to show my emotions openly. So under anesthetic, when I was coming out of it, you know, the nurse sort of tapped me and said, okay, are you awake now? And I remember this, and I said, yes, can I cry now? And you know, she said yes. And I remember in that hazy state, I mourned the loss of my child. So that was miscarriage number 1. After which, I think that's when it dawned on me that I really want to be a mother. This made me want it more. So I was like, you know, after seeing the gynecologist, who said, give it another 3 months, then try again, let your body get back into its cycle. And it was just not happening. It was just not happening. So I went back to her, and, you know, she was like, oh, don't worry, it will happen. You know, she gave me the same pep talk that she probably gives a lot of patients, that I was not in the mood for. I was impatient. You know, I got pregnant without trying. How come when I'm trying, it's not happening? So I changed my gynecologist, and I went to another one who put me on tablets to help, you know, me produce better eggs. And I was doing tests, blood tests, and I was checking my cycle, checking when I was ovulating, so that to ensure that that's the time that I try to have a baby. And lo and behold, I got pregnant again. And I was very excited. I could feel the symptoms because now I knew that these are the symptoms of pregnancy. And I went for a scan, this time much earlier at 6 weeks, because again, I was a woman trying. So when a woman is trying to get pregnant, even the doctors sort of keep a keen eye, especially if there's been history of miscarriages. And at 6 weeks, I went in and they couldn't even see the fetus. I had what they called a blighted ovum. So it's a fertilized egg that goes into the uterus, but nothing develops thereafter. There's no baby that develops or nothing happens. And I couldn't understand it. Again, I was like, wait, what? And they were like, well, you're 6 weeks, we should be seeing in a... Wait. I did the same thing. I said, well, it's those stages of mourning where you're in denial, then you're angry, then you negotiate. It's all those things. And I went through them with each of the babies that I lost. Wait, I'll show you that I'm pregnant. And, the person who's doing the scan probably already knows and says, yes, I'm very well aware of my job, but you go do what you need to do. So, after that scan, I Googled everything, has it ever happened where a blighted ovum shows up at 6 weeks and then at 10 weeks you find that you had a baby? And people are like, yeah, if you have an inverted uterus, yes. I found everything. So I hung on to this pregnancy and it was just, again, after 10 weeks, there was nothing there. And I then decided, no, the problem is the gynecologist. It's not me, it's the gynecologist. So I changed my gynecologist again. And I said to him, I don't want to go through the emotional state of DNC because I could remember how I cried. I just want to remove this, and I don't want any more babies. And he's like, look, let's remove this, and then you can do something called a laparoscopy, and see from there. So we didn't do a surgically removal of the blighted ovum. He gave me some tablets that I inserted, and within a few hours, I sort of bled everything out. And following a few weeks, I then went in for surgery, and it was successful. And then he said to me, he's like, all right. And he explained it to me very nicely. He said, look, everything happens in cycles. As gynecologists, we give you 3 months. So 3 months of natural, 3 months of, something with the tablets, 3 months of, there is artificial insemination, and then 3 months of IVF, if all else fails. So he's like, don't worry about it. Either way, something will come out of this. And then he said to me as well, he's like, why don't you get your husband to also test whether the problem could be with him? And this is where I take my hats off to my husband, where he's like, yeah, of course, I will do it because you're going through all this. I will also do my part. And he did. And, there was nothing wrong with him though. But then what happened was I got pregnant again. And this was with all the medication that I was on. And yay, I was happy and eating for 2, although it was only 9 weeks of a pregnancy. I was very excited, feeling very sick, but very happy. And, again, we went to get an ultrasound, and it's like just a day before or something, the baby had given up and it wasn't a successful pregnancy. And so I said to my husband, I said, okay, maybe children are not for us, and maybe we're not supposed to. And he said to me, he's like, no, let's try one more time. And don't be so stressed about it. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, don't worry. We'll be good. So when I next got pregnant, and I didn't do it with Clomid, this was a natural. because I'd given up all the dawas and everything, because also my body was now taking a toll. It was taking a toll on my body, rather. It was affecting me emotionally, physically. I was drained. You can just imagine surgery, hormones going up and down. I was exhausted. And my gynecologist said to me, look, I'm going to give you progesterone to insert, and you need injections to support this pregnancy. And for 14 weeks of this pregnancy, I had injections, and from week 7 to 12, I think I inserted progesterone, which is the worst thing ever, because as it is, you're feeling sick, you're nauseous, you can smell everyone and everything, and it was just frustrating for me. But 9 months later, I had my daughter, and it was just beautiful, feeling her kick inside my belly, feeling her move and somersault, and just all of that, and watching her. When we went for the first scan, out of which so far 3 scans that I'd gone for, every one of them were non-viable, and we saw her heartbeat, and both my husband and I started crying, because that's the first time that we'd seen a heartbeat, and it was just amazing. So so I had hormonal support for that first trimester plus 2 weeks, and then I just took it easy, looked after myself, made sure that this baby came into this world. But again, that's not in my hands, that's in God's hands, and we were superly blessed. A year after my daughter turned 1, I learned that I was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, so this is what happens, because I've heard that story of, you'll try to get pregnant, and then you won't, and then you will, and suddenly everything opens up, and your body, your body knows what to do, and you just conceive again. And that's what happened. I conceived again, and I was like, yay, I conceived. And I went to see the doctor, and I'm like, hey, I conceived. And he's like, okay, good. Be careful, and make sure you're on the progesterone. He didn't put me on the injections this time. So at 5 weeks, because again, it was early days, I went to check, and we saw a heartbeat. And I was really happy. I was like, yay, everything is going well. Beat that challenge. I know what I'm doing now. And at 9 weeks, I could just feel the sensations of pregnancy fade. And I said, this is not right. It's not feeling okay. And I was feeling energetic. I was not so nauseous. And it's so unlike me, because I've been pregnant 6 times. I've been sick each time, and I know now my symptoms. And I was like, no, something is not right. Something's not right. And to be honest, I was not on my progesterone as regularly. It's an everyday thing. But it was so disgusting. It's not a fun process, And I was so sick that I was just like, oh, come on. I don't need the medicines. I'm fine. This happened naturally. I'm fine. And at 9 weeks, there was no heartbeat. So that just broke my heart, because I blamed myself, because I knew my body. And I know that at 5 weeks there was a heartbeat, and at 9, it wasn't there anymore. So, again, we had that conversation with my husband where he's like, no, maybe we shouldn't be greedy. We've been blessed with one. Let's just be happy. And so that was it. We decided to be parents of 1 child. Really, we didn't try for another. We never went desperately looking to get another one, like how we did for the first. We were content, and we let it be. And after 3 years of being parents to 1 child, my daughter came up to me, and she said, Mama, God told me you're pregnant. And I said, pardon? She says, yeah, God told me you have a baby in your belly. And I was like, no, it can't be. And she said this for 5 days straight. Oh, Mama, God told me last night you have a baby in your belly. God told me. So I just went for a blood test. I didn't even do a pregnancy test. Or, I didn't pee on a stick. I went directly for a blood test. And, I told them to call me. So they called me in the afternoon. And I remember my mom, my mother-in-law, and my husband were having lunch together. And I sort of walked out of the room. And, she said, oh, yeah, it's at 700 and something. And I said, but what does that mean? She says, it means you're a week pregnant. And, yeah. The same 5 days that this girl kept on singing the song of I'm pregnant. And on the Friday, and I went, and she said, it means you're 1 week pregnant. And I went to the doctor, and he's like, all right, dawa, medicine, support. And then I had my son. So, like with the first one, it was very, with not just, it's a lot of people, not just family. Oh, it's her fault. Oh, she can't conceive. Oh, maybe she's too old. Or maybe, I got the stupid remarks. With the second one, it was, oh yeah, see, she's a failure. She can't do this. It can't happen with her. And then, I remember my husband once saying, he's like, people are saying this within my family. You need to prove them wrong. And that's what made me even more determined that no, there's nothing wrong with me or him. It's not even in our hands. It's God's timing and God's way. We can't even think of ourselves that powerful that we are the ones who create human life. It is what it is and where it's meant to be. But I allowed God to take over, I think, and that's when I was like, you know what? I need to give this to my husband as well. And then my mom was, of course, a constant support. My brother was a constant support. And my husband was amazing, coming with me for each and every scan, for every blood test, sitting with me, holding my hand, telling me, don't worry, it'll be fine this time. Or when it was fine, it'll be fine this time, but make sure you look after yourself. Just take it easy. Don't get angry. Don't get worked up. Eat right. It taught me that we are not in control. It taught me that it really isn't up to us what happens in our lives. You can plan your life. You can say, okay, this time, or at this juncture of my life, I would like to have kids, and at this juncture, I'd like to have a full-fledged career, and at this juncture, I'd like to be a grandmother, and blah, blah, blah. But it's not up to you. It really isn't. And, for me, whenever something goes wrong in my life, whenever there's a challenge, I do a lot of soul searching. I go within. So it's built me to understand who I am and what I am capable of enduring, what I'm capable of also giving in regards to helping others through my journey. So my daughter, I always say that she's going to go into something on the stage. Not necessarily what I do. A lot of people are like, she'll be Miss India Kenya. I'm like, no, that was my thing. If she wants to be, well and good, but if she doesn't, I will never force it upon her. But she's just got this knack for, she loves the camera. She loves giving speeches. She's very artsy. So, there's a lot of talent within her. Although, 2 years ago, my mom had a stroke in front of both her and myself. And my daughter was very close to my mom. So there was some trauma she endured. And since then, she's become a bit subdued, a bit shy. I'm trying to get her out of her shell again and make her feel confident again. She is a typical older child. Yes, Mama. What can I do, Mama? She helps me out. She'll always look for brownie points. She's very, very smart because her godmother is a lawyer. And her godmother keeps saying, this girl's going to be a lawyer because she's a negotiator. So Ariana, enough TV. Okay, 1 more hour. I'm like, no, done. Switch it off. Okay, 20 more minutes. Okay, 10 more minutes. To a point where you're just like, fine. She knows how to negotiate. She's stubborn. She's witty. She's going to do big things in whatever path she chooses. And, you know, a mother's wish is for your children to only just be happy, whatever they choose to do. My son, on the other hand, I was reading on Facebook that second-borns normally end up as criminals. And I look at my son and I'm like, oh my God, he's somersaulting off a sofa. And what is he going to do? He's going to, rob a bank and somersault off. I'm like, really, his attitude is very, I don't care. What are you going to do? And he tests me. Like, what are you going to do? And he even gives me that look. And, like my husband always used to tell me, you won't be able to discipline your son because he'll have you eating out of his hand. As mamas and sons, that relationship. But I try my hardest to discipline him, because at the end of the day, I want my children to be like society to be gaining from my children being around. I don't want them to be a menace. Oh my God, these guys again. I want people to feel positive when they walk into a room. And that boils down to upbringing. So yes, sometimes you have to discipline your child. It's painful, but it's got to be done. My son is a very strong character. Where he's going to be in his life, he's a lefty. So his nanny calls him Mr. President. And I'm like, yeah, fine. If that's what you want to do. And hopefully in 50 years, Kenya will be ready for an Indian president. My daughter loves to bake. So I bake with her a lot. And that comes from my mom, who sort of used to bake with her a lot. So we bake a lot together. My son also gets involved. And I'm not one of those, oh no, this is for girls. No, this is for boys. It's like, just come get involved. Let's do stuff. My son, he likes to paint. He likes to swim a lot. So these are the things that I do with them. They will have their own journey. My children will have their own journey. And I'm sure every mother will say this to you. They pray for their children, just for them to be safe, for them to be happy. I think happy children turn out to be good human beings. Because if you keep on comparing yourself to someone else, or you keep on wanting to be something that you're not, you're just not okay, within yourself. So for me, what I would tell my children is respect yourselves first. And that's in every aspect. How you treat your body, how you treat your mind, and then how you treat others around you. That's very, very important. Because once you respect yourself, you're able to show respect to others, and you're able to look after yourself and do things for yourself. Advice for a working mom is, when I had my firstborn, nobody told me that the silent baby that is also delivered with this child is something called guilt. So, you go back to work and you're thinking, oh my gosh, have I done the wrong thing? Oh, I need to breastfeed. Oh my God. You're constantly feeling guilty for everything you're doing. And I would say to a working mom that, look, you need to get back to your business. You need to do what you need to do. Your child will be okay. But as long as the time that you spend with your child is quality, it's okay to get back to work and prioritize. At the end of the day, your child should come first. But if you can't make it for the sports days or the concerts because of work, it's okay. And to give yourself that break and to not feel guilty and to allow yourself to say, look, today I didn't do it. Next time I will do my best to do it. We're only human. We're not superhuman. For a mom who's gone through miscarriages or losses of babies, I've had a lot of moms talk to me about this. A lot of moms have reached out to me after they've heard about my stories. And I tell them the same thing that I always used to tell myself: it's not your time. You're lucky enough to conceive. Count your blessings as angry as you are. And again, I go back to that. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad. Just don't get stuck there. You know, get someone to catch you out on when you're slumping into a depression so that you don't get depressed. And it's okay, because it's not only happened to you, it's happened to many of us. And you will get through it, and tomorrow will be a brighter day. What you need to do is have faith in yourself and have faith in your journey, that it is happening to you for a reason, and you'll only know about this reason after it's all past.